Rare Gem Productions proudly presents Entrepreneurially Thinking. Entrepreneurially Thinking is a presentation of BioSTL and CET, the Center for Emerging Technologies, changing the way you view new ventures and activating your entrepreneurial mindset, empowering you to create new pathways for business success in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. Here's your hosts, Cheryl and Christy. Now let's get thinking entrepreneurially.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurially Thinking Podcast. I'm Christy Maxfield.
And I'm Dr. Cheryl Watkins-Moore. I lead our STEM Entrepreneurial Inclusion Initiative here for BioSTL in our region. Hey, lady.
How are you?
I am doing okay.
You're busy.
Oh, God. You're busy. What are you talking about?
Well, I just know that we had our most recent Vision 2019 meeting.
Yes.
And that we've got a whole exciting lineup for October 18th coming up.
Friday, October 18th. Mark it on your calendars.
So I only have one small piece. Well, it's not too small, actually. It's kind of big. But I only have one piece.
I was like, I think you got a big piece in it.
I don't know what I was thinking.
And it's a collaboration of a lot of different entrepreneurial resource organizations here in the community. It is our opportunity to educate, support, and celebrate entrepreneurs that are women, people of color, and immigrant populations building some fantastic ventures here in our region.
And this is like the fifth year, if I'm correct.
This is the fifth year.
So we're really excited. Where are we having it again?
Oh, my gosh. This is really cool. We move every year, as everybody knows, right? So we're coming right back downtown St. Louis at the Pearl, a new venture with entrepreneurs that are new.
Oh, that's exciting.
That are emerging entrepreneurs.
I missed
this
the
is
tasting,
their space.
which I could just kick myself for. But
gosh.
I've heard that not only is the space beautiful, but the food is amazing.
Fried is a restaurant that's right there on the corner of Washington and I believe that's 14th. They've been in the news. They are going to do breakfast, lunch, and the networking with cocktails and appetizers. So there's something for
everybody, even if the content...
Oh, my God.
I mean, I know the content will be satisfying.
The food is phenomenal. There are no more bologna sandwiches.
No bologna sandwiches. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, we want to make sure you know about that and what's going on there. And, of course, thank our founding sponsors, CET and BioSTL.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Vision is one of the BioSTL programs. CET is actually a sponsor, right? So as you guys know,
we're
do a lot of collaboration.
We're the
here,
family.
and we want to make sure that you're checking them out and checking us out.
Yes.
Make sure that you're sharing with your friends, because that's the best way for us to reach people and share the stories of the folks who are gracious enough to give us their time and share their experiences with us. So follow us on iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you follow your favorite shows.
Wherever you are, as we say, we want to be.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So women out there.
Yeah.
This is something you all know the drill, right? When it comes to high heels, at some point we're all plagued by either paper thin insoles, where you're walking in your metatarsals, which are the bones on the bottom of your feet, feel like about to die.
You're giving us the technical.
We're plagued by delicate fabrics. Slippery soles where your feet are going to slide through.
I've done a pirouette or actually a split in the middle of Sarah on my way into the building here.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Unstable heels. We know about that, right? Or perpetually worn down heel tips. And not to mention the ever so embarrassing broken heel. It's a mess.
Yes.
So women in high heels, we all know about all the issues. So our guest today, she's a St. Louis native, found herself one day wishing that there were women's heels that could be worn by the professional woman that were built more like Nikes, but look like Stuart Weitzman. Oh, my God, I love it. Yes. She set out on a mission and can proudly say today that she has definitely accomplished that goal. So for those of us who are professional women walking around and you have to have heels on and you're running through an airport or trying to get to your office, many of us have embraced this mantra, beauty is pain, and this is something
Can we get rid of that now?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
awesome.
a done deal.
Woo!
Yeah. So if you guys are interested, which I know you all are, you better stay listening.
BioSTL is a proud founding sponsor of the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. We want you to know about all the great things they are up to, including the BioSTL STEM, Entrepreneur Inclusion Initiative, and Fundamentals program for early stage would-be entrepreneurs in the life sciences in St. Louis. You can learn more about all of BioSTL's programs by visiting biostl.org. And for your renewed and continuing support, BioSTL, we say thank you.
Purpose First Advisors is proud to support the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. Purpose First works with entrepreneurs and the organizations that support them to accelerate business formation, scaling, and transformational growth. For more information about how to work with Purpose First Advisors on business model validation, financial modeling, core messaging, or other growth and profitability strategies, visit purposefirstadvisors.com.
I am Claire of Claire Flowers, LLC, and entrepreneurially thinking to me means being willing to take a lot of risks and being willing to fail often.
Joining us today is Claire Flowers, founder and designer of Claire Flowers, LLC. Claire has a passion for making things better. While working in sales and constantly traveling for work, she experienced all the many things you just shared with us, the heel saga, and was inspired to make a better option. And so since 2014 has been working on Claire Flowers, her business, and the line of shoes that is. So thank you for making time to be with us.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I'm stoked.
Oh,
Excited to be here.
Well, I know she just got a huge shipment of shoes in,
Woo.
right? And so making time to, I'm glad we're a good break and distraction from inventory, but
certainly.
Yay inventory, right? Because that means we've got customers.
Well,
so.
if you were in sales and constantly traveling, you were running in heels.
Right, running through airports, running down the street. So I used to be laughed at by my colleagues. I'd go to Chicago. I'd take the first flight out like 5:36 in the morning. And I would book my first appointment for 8 and then 10, noon, 2, and 4. And they'd be all over Chicago. Yep. So people were like, what are you doing? That means my meeting had to be 1 hour, no longer, and then an hour to drive because there's always traffic. So if you can imagine, I was running everywhere. I was constantly like on a schedule. Yeah.
So did you have the flip-flops in the bag or what?
No, I wore my heels.
Yeah, but I mean in between. You didn't have those
She's saying
flip-flops?
no, she didn't do none of that.
You didn't do me.
No, that is totally a Cheryl move. I have been on many events, including Vision, where she's like, it's time for the flip-flops.
Right. No, I never did that. You know, I used to have to wear a suit every day.
Yeah.
So they were hemmed or not. In any event, they worked with heels. So they would not work with flip-flops.
No, I'm not
or anything.
saying flip-flops in a meeting, but in between.
Right,
so
no.
give your feet a
She's
rest.
like, I don't have time for that. I got to go.
Right. She got to go.
My pants would have drug on the ground, you know. So otherwise it would have been flip-flops in the car, which then...
Right.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
But you're like, damn it, I'm not doing it. Like the shoes got to work for me. I don't need to work for the shoe.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Right. So after, I don't know, 10 years working professionally, it became more of something I kind of focused on rather than just an afterthought because my shoes were falling apart and having all these issues. But then at this particular time, this week, I was in Manhattan for a week-long training. So I was just kind of sitting there, you know, soaking up the information and vegging and whatever, staring at my shoes. And I started to think about, you know, what would an amazing shoe look like? How would it function? What is wrong with all of the shoes that I currently have?
Right.
And then it evolved, I guess, over the course of that week into, you know, I'm going to go make my own shoe that fixes all of these issues that I've always encountered. And I'm only going to make 9 or 10 pairs for myself. And then I'm going to continue to sell software and live my life.
Wow.
Okay.
So you were an entrepreneur just going to service your needs.
My own need. And then, keep doing
Very
what I'm
limited
doing.
market.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And you don't make a lot of revenue. Your cost center, right?
Pretty much a break-even deal. Yeah. So in doing that, I came to find out that there isn't a manufacturer that will make 9 or 10 pairs of shoes. And we don't have a whole lot in terms of domestic manufacturing of shoes either. So that was what was kind of confining this whole idea at the moment was I couldn't find someone who would make the shoes. So I went to Portugal for 8 days, looked for a factory because knowing that I was going to have to make a minimum of 100 or 125, I'm like, well, if I'm going to sell these to other people, they really have to be high quality. If I'm going to put my name on the inside, they have to be amazing. So I went to Portugal for 8 days, self-funded that entire trip, took 5 days off of work, and could not find a factory that I liked. I probably went through 40 or 50 in that week. I had translators speaking Portuguese and
we can do 5 meetings a day. Like, I'm just thinking, like, you just took your Chicago itinerary and like, I'm coming.
It's international now.
Exactly. I said, book me all 5 days because I'm not coming back. So didn't find a factory that I liked. So
let me ask you that. Why Portugal?
So a function of quality and cost. So it could be said, or a lot of people have this sort of sentiment idea that the best shoes are made in Italy.
I was going to ask.
And then, Spain and Brazil are kind of number 2, and then Portugal's right there with them. So I knew that I wasn't going to find the quality and the minimums that I needed in China, but I'd find a great price. And then I knew that I wasn't going to find the cost that I needed for what I was trying to accomplish in Italy.
Right.
So I had sort of done the research to narrow it down to several countries before I made that trip to Portugal.
Okay.
So anyway, went to Portugal 5 days, saw tons of factories, and just didn't see anything that I was blown away by. Each factory was doing its own lines, and they had their own sort of competencies, but I couldn't find a factory that was the whole package.
Right.
So I came back to the States and was like, well, I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to rush this or settle for a factory that's not up to snuff for me. So went back and found a guy in Chicago who had several different shoe lines throughout his career. And he put me in touch with a factory in Brazil. And I got very lucky. I was like, I'm not going to go to Brazil for a week because I can't keep traveling the world.
Dang it.
I have my real job here. So I sent him a design and I said, do your best to copy this, like a CAD file, basically. And what he shipped me back was near perfect.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't believe I just got that lucky. Knowing that I just came back from Portugal.
Right.
And
That the odds weren't in your favor.
Right. I was thinking if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go through 100 different factories prototyping my design. So got very lucky. The price was right. The minimums were right.
The quality was
perfect. I mean, and that is my original factory. And that is still who hand makes all of my shoes today.
Wow.
So back up. You sold technology, right? Technology solutions. Are you an artist by training? Are you a shoe designer by training?
Not at all. No.
Like, my husband is an engineer. He could probably figure out a CAD. He could definitely figure out a CAD
I was
file.
say,
I was just going to lose my merit. Like, whoa. Like, he has been known to take his idea and put it in a CAD file, right? Not so much me. I'm like, here, look, honey, on the napkin. Isn't that, like, it's 4 inches and 3 slash lines. How long is that? Like, that's how I do my measurement. How did you get even to the point of having a CAD file that you were like, here, go make this shoe?
So
like this perfect shoe.
It's crazy how naive I was. And looking back, like the things that I was doing. So I found a guy who was...
You found a guy.
I found another guy.
It's a found a guy.
It's the Googles.
Right.
They're amazing.
Got a guy.
And so I needed a guy that was proficient in CAD and didn't know that, shoes was like there's shoe illustrators and their CAD design. I thought it was all sort of the same. So I found a guy and he did the nozzles for fuel pumps for like BP and ExxonMobil. Yeah. And I thought, of course you can do a shoe. I mean, this is way less complicated. Right?
Sure.
So he did, and he did them like all perfectly.
So he took your design and put it into a CAD file.
So that was actually the first magic, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, I was thinking I need someone who's done something super complex.
Yeah.
And then that person can really get this right. And then my factory will get it right.
Right.
And shoes are more complicated than they look, I'm assuming.
They are, but not as complicated as, say, a fuel pump nozzle.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Like, those have to be, very accurate.
Fair enough.
So they cut off, don't overflow your tank.
Right.
No explosions. I get it. I get it. That was great. That was freaking funny. But awesome. Okay, so we get the guy. He goes the CAD file. You go to the factory, he does this amazing thing, and then you're like, ta-da, I'm in business. Is that sort of how? Or am I like...
No, that's how it started. And then we, took that first perfect silhouette and did it in, was it three or four colors?
Okay.
Just because... for a lot of reasons, that initial investment, you want to kind of like amortize all of those molds and patterns and all those things you pay for over as many units as you can, especially as a startup. So before introducing new styles, we had the classic Claire pump in 3 different colors, and we still have that today. But that's sort of the start of it.
How much was, ballpark, and to get you started and get into this business, what was the investment? What did that investment look like?
So I think the largest investment, obviously aside from like manufacturing itself, was around legal. So,
amen. I always tell people.
One of the things that I didn't know, and this is kind of the chicken or the egg thing, really to raise money, you need a whole bunch of investment documents from a transactional attorney.
Yeah.
So PPM and all those things. But then that is not cheap. So you're like, you kind of have to pay for that on your own, or just have like a friends and family gift with no sort of legalese behind it,
Right. Right.
So that's what I did. My parents and myself pitched in and had this document written up. And then from there, I could go out and have an offering to accredited and non-accredited investors.
Okay.
So were you raising money for the first product
Right.
line, or were you bootstrapping the initial product?
No. So manufacturing the first run, some of that was funded by investors.
Okay.
Awesome. Which really meant too that, in a city, but I would argue in entrepreneurship in general, like women's shoes,
Right.
not high on people's investment list.
Right. So, they knew that this wasn't going to be a tech startup with 1,000 times return.
Right.
That's what I meant. She said it much better than me.
However, the shoes are innovative, and they do a lot of things all at once that shoes historically have not done in a women's pump.
So talk to us about, I was going to say like what?
So
they look amazing.
There's 5 features that lend themselves to the, the benefits of the shoes. First, the shoe is bigger at the base of the heel. So it's a stiletto sort of through the center. So it still has that feminine aesthetic, but being bigger at the base makes it so that you don't really like flex your foot as much. So it makes them more comfortable. You're not balancing like you would be on a stiletto. And then,
it distributes the weight. It's
right.
called
Exactly.
science.
Right. So were you really a podiatrist?
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't sure if she was kidding, but the more you talk, I'm like, right. And then also that shape doesn't allow you to get stuck in as many grates and cracks. Then the heel cap itself at the very end of the heel is made of what they use to make Bic lighters and roller skate wheels. So they never need to be replaced.
Tough.
They're tough, right?
Yeah.
And then there's an anti-slip sort of injection molded tread in the outsole so that you can run across airport floors and lobby floors, as I was often doing. They have the most foam that you can put in a shoe without changing the size to a smaller size. That makes sense.
Yeah. So a 6 is still a 6 and a 10 is still a 10.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly right. And then a lot of the shoes, I'm holding up a sandal, so I forgot about this part, but a lot of the shoes have hardware on the back. So where you're encountering steps or your car floor mats, there's a lot of wear right there above the heel.
Oh, yeah.
So my shoes typically, not always, have something there to protect that part.
Ah, yeah. That's very cool. And then it seems like it has, like you said, the cushion, the metatarsal cushion in the...
Ball of the foot?
Yes, in the ball of the foot.
I wasn't sure about the anatomy, but I was like, you were slapping your hand, and I was like, I'm going to go for it.
Because that's important. That's where most women, the foot fatigue comes from. Yeah.
That's where it hurts after a while. So, it's much better.
Are the heels all the same height?
No. So I have loafers and flats that are super low, and then I have a mule that is maybe an inch, and then I have a kitten heel that's 2.4 inches, and my high heel is 3.9 inches, which in metric is a round number in centimeters, but then when we put it in inches, it's not like, why didn't you make it 4? Because it's 90 centimeters or whatever, so it makes sense for the rest of the world. But.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
Cool. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk more about what it is to build a business and to own a shoe empire.
CET, the Center for Emerging Technologies, is a proud founding sponsor of the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. We want you to know about all the great resources they provide, including the Square One Ignite and Bootcamp programs, as well as the online startup toolkit. The toolkit has videos, articles, and other materials to help you build your business. For more information about CET's programs, visit CETSTL.com. And for your renewed and continued support, CET, we say thank you.
I'm James Jackson.
I'm Christy Jackson.
We're from DK Solutions.
Entrepreneurially thinking to us means finding your passion, taking a risk to share that with the world.
So we were talking about how you've grown the business, or how you started the business. How have you decided to grow the business? Because this is one of those, I could see you doing brick and mortar, being in wholesale, being online, doing boutiques. We were always hear I want to be in Target. Your equivalent would be I want to be in Nordstrom, right? So how have you looked at growth?
So I think deciding which channels and to what extent has been probably one of the biggest challenges. So as you can imagine, with each channel, the delivery dates are different. The demand is different. The margins are different. So it's about finding like the right mix. I think I'm fortunate in the fact that when I started my company, the retail landscape was really changing. So
how so?
Well, Payless just went into
bankruptcy
or whatever. Yeah. And
again.
then there's Sears and there's Kmart. And so, feeling at ease with free shipping, free returns, and shopping online really has helped me because it takes a lot of the fear out of someone buying a $265 pair of shoes for the first time online.
Right.
Which I think maybe 10 years ago would have been a whole lot harder to accomplish. I also feel like brands are a lot closer to their customers now than ever. So that's kind of appreciated. So we have a lot of private events. We'll go to someone's house, or I'll go to a city and rent out like a Fleming's or a Ruth's Chris.
Oh, great.
And just have women that are professionals come in from that area. They know I'm there only that night. So there's sort of a sense of urgency to go. Then they meet the designer. They hang out with other shoe lovers and so on. And then, prior to that, I feel like fashion and the designers were always like this person behind this curtain, so like, you can go buy Prada or Versace or whatever. You never meet, Donatello or, whomever is designing for them at this point. But fashion, I think, is different now. So we have Reese Witherspoon and her brand, and she shows up places and she's promoting it on her own social media and et cetera. So I think all of those things have really bode well for me because you don't have to be, Stella McCartney kind of famous already to develop a following and really resonate with people. So in that respect, I've been very fortunate, but still finding the right sort of mix of channels and to what extent you pursue those is certainly challenging because I only have so much in marketing budget. So do I spend it on Facebook ads or do I spend it on a showroom in Dallas? And do I, so it's really looking at the ROI of each channel. And it's very hard to kind of estimate that until you start trying it. So you just have to try so many different things and know that they're not going to pan out and you're going to fail, and then you move on to the next thing and you put your money there.
So did you have, because you came out of a sales role in tech, did you have a lot of mentors working with you as you were trying to figure out your business strategy and, like you talked about channel strategy, all of that? How did you work through those, through all of that?
Initially, I assembled an advisory board with people who, had an expert in accounting and finance, and then another one in logistics and supply chain, and then another one who had developed a brand with that he sold in Macy's and Dick's and had been very successful and so on. And so we would go to these meetings and I would say, here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. And that's how I started. Yeah. And these people were super cool. We had meetings maybe once a month, once every other month, and it was free. Meaning they weren't like a paid board, which is typically called a board of directors. And what I had was called an advisory board. So it's a little different.
Big difference.
Right. And then I paid some consultants here and there in between. But now I've been fortunate again in that I found this company called Diba Imports in Earth City.
Yes.
So they are a pretty large shoe company,
Yes.
and they have their own brands.
Yes.
But they have a fulfillment service. And so when I was looking for a fulfillment company to get all of the shoes out of my condo, I interviewed them, and they're just awesome. They were not like competitive. Their brands are not competitive with mine.
Right.
They're awesome with giving me information and helping me,
That's
but then they
great.
also do my fulfillment. And
So you're leveraging their infrastructure and expertise.
in more ways than I thought possible.
Wow.
Once I got in there and started working in a cubicle in their office every day, it occurred to me that, Amanda in marketing knows how to do this. And so I'd go over to her desk and I'd say, how does this work? How do you do that? And they've just been awesome with me. And it's given me the ability to scale, not hire a whole bunch of people.
Right.
So it's just been great.
So they're not only a distributor for you, they're a partner.
Yes.
And helping you learn the pieces of the business. That's what I mean by that. Yeah, that's amazing. That is really
And
amazing.
I've just known you since I want to say I first came to know you and your brand probably back in 2015, 2016. So fairly early on. And I'm just excited that you've also expanded into all these other shoes, right? Again, as a woman who doesn't wear high heels all that often, because I'm just not that graceful, frankly.
I told her she could wear those, though.
I have no doubt.
The kitten ones.
Even the 3.9, 4-inch
The
heel.
kitten ones, you'd be fine.
Kittens I could do. I don't want to embarrass the family. But that you've now branched off into these other types of shoes as well. So you're really seeing the potential for a high-end quality shoe, regardless of the height of the heel. And that means you're tapping into a whole different segment as well.
Right. I do. So to speak to that, I've done what I've done with pumps to boots, because you can have a high heel boot. So all those sort of qualities translate. But right now, to take some seasonality out of my business and to give my customers like just a better offering, I guess, that's all year round.
Right.
We're working on a line of like flip flops, but like nicer flip flops that you would wear to a barbecue or, a graduation or whatever.
Dressy shoes.
A dressy flip flop. And what I have found with most of them is that you wear them on a boat or you wear them on a slick surface and they have no traction. So again, my line already does that. But then a lot of times flip-flops that are leather, the toe
tip,
gets all banged up and
Yes.
scuffed. And so if you just spent $100 on Tory Burch or Jack
gonna say,
Rogers or whatever, that is so frustrating. So we will have
I was going to say
protection of
$100 on
source
Tory
here.
Burch. That must be a discount. Because their
I
sandals are not
I think
$100.
those Millers are, between 100 and 150, something like that. So we'll have something to protect there. And then we'll have tread on the bottom. And so all of those things just about flip-flops that you would think, how can you improve a flip-flop? Well, I mean, we all have that problem.
Ways.
Yeah. So it just takes a little thought. And, it's funny. Someone once said to me, well, then your shoes are going to last like 3 or 4 years. And I said, isn't that great? And they said, well, not if you're in the business of selling shoes. I'm like, no, but that's why I'm in the really. It's kind of
and why
ironic.
Now you're making sure that I can have a pair of clear flowers for every occasion. Right?
women-
So it doesn't matter if my pumps last for 3 years because I'm gonna.
Women are
also
going to
have
buy
flash
shoes.
more. Yeah, I
Right.
gotta say.
I don't care. I don't
Right.
care if
Never
the
stopped
shoe
me from buying a shoe before.
Shoe might last 10 years, but I'm going to go buy another pair, especially if they're comfortable, if they are different,
Hell,
look
if they
or
make
whatever.
me feel cute, I'm gonna buy them. Let's just be honest.
We count on that,
Exactly.
I am feeding into her business model.
right.
So how competitive? Because you're in a different strata. You are high end. How competitive is that line? How competitive has it been for you to, attract customers and all of that?
It's incredibly competitive. At this price point, you can get something with an emblem or a logo on it, and people automatically know how much you spent. And not that that's why people buy those brands, but it's
Certainly part of it.
part of it. Okay,
Come on.
so so we're there.
If you see the T and you're wearing it,
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't have that. I mean, eventually I will, and they all have
but
to
you
start
have,
there too.
I think something
Exactly.
that's also very unique, the heel tip. Because I was telling you, I was at an event last week and I read about your shoes and I saw this woman and I saw the heel tip and I was like, oh my God, I hadn't met you yet. And I was thinking, I was like, is that Claire Flowers? Because I saw the shoe. So, I mean, it's very distinctive. It might not, I think that's a very distinctive.
Right. So we're counting on that. So we have, done our best to make our SEO hot pink heel caps, and we put that all over everything.
Yep.
Because the idea is that you don't have to be able to read the nameplate that says Clear Flowers.
Right,
so from 20, 30 feet away, you can maybe see that's hot pink, and then you don't have to run up to that woman and say, what are those? Right. You can get on your phone and Google pink heel cap, pink heel tip, pink whatever. And we should come up. So
I love the fact that it's on the, it's somewhere just like the red bottoms. This is the pink bottom, which is really cool because you can see that coming or going, which is really nice.
Right. That's the thought behind it. We trademarked that. So not another shoe in the world should have a hot pink heel cap.
Okay.
Awesome.
Or really pink for that matter, but we'll
We'll pick our battles.
Yeah, we'll see.
So what are the new challenges? What are the new opportunities facing you as you're moving forward? This is what, 6 years you're going in 6 years?
I'm going into 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've done a lot in 6 years.
Especially from hey, I'm going to just have 9 pairs of shoes for me.
Right. It certainly has evolved.
You started at doodling at a sales meeting.
God bless the boring presenter.
Right.
Exactly. They inspired entrepreneurship.
So I think what we're going to start doing is looking at other products like handbags, but also ones that are functional and solve a problem. I definitely think that we need to hit the Southeast harder and expand our geography. So we have a really good presence there already. As far as demographics, like the people in the Southeast still dress up for work. They don't have inclement weather. They drive everywhere. Yeah. So like those are our people.
And they wear stockings.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, I don't do that.
In the Southeast, are you kidding me? Wow. Anyway,
right. So as far as expansion, like there's new products, there's getting a stronger hold on like Nashville and Birmingham and Atlanta, and the East Coast. I'm in a showroom in Atlanta and Dallas right now, and they're doing a great job of not getting me in a ton of stores, but they're getting me in the best store in a city. Yeah. Which I kind of prefer. So it's better for my brand equity to be in the best stores than 100 that are, not so great. And also those stores have longevity. So they have a customer base that's, they shop there, their mom shop there, their grandma shop there, which I appreciate too. Better for the longevity of my brand again.
So how did you find those stores? Or you just went city by city finding those?
No. So the way showrooms work is they have a market every other month, and all of the buyers from maybe 15, 20 states go to that showroom and they all shop for what's going to go in their store. Okay. So when I am in a showroom in Dallas and Atlanta, they're like merchandise mart where all these other brands sell. So Eric Jarvis, for example, is in one of my showrooms, and someone from Project Runway. And so I'm with all these other designers, but I'm the only shoe brand in both showrooms. So that's great because people come in to buy a coat or a hat, and then they see the shoes.
Here's a shoe, right.
So that is my wholesale market, is through the showrooms. And then these private events and parties, I'm doing Salt Lake, and I have Chicago and Atlanta. So that's a whole nother sort of channel. Then I have online, and we're working on revamping the website and doing things with that. So we have a lot of kind of torpedoes in the water, and we're just after it as hard as we can.
That's great.
That's fantastic. Right. So at what point did you go from identifying as a woman who had an idea to being an entrepreneur? Do you self-identify as an entrepreneur?
No.
And
not really as a designer either. Just like a business person, just a person who happens to.
You had a great idea, right, and figured out all the ways to make that idea work.
Right, and I don't know why. I think of entrepreneurs as like, they developed a new pharmaceutical, or they have to be some like rocket scientist or something.
But you have actually revolutionized
footwear,
your particular product line. I mean, you just described the 5 features that make it unlike any other thing in the world. Right. I'm not here to convince you that you are an entrepreneur, but I find it fascinating because more often than not, the person sitting where you're sitting right now doesn't, or just recently came to think of themselves that way. And so I was just curious because your level of business acumen is stellar.
Thank
right?
you.
I was just curious of like, particularly given like doodling at the conference and the training, sort of when you make that transition from this is an idea that sounds interesting to I'm actually going to figure out how to make this happen to I'm going to do this at scale to my name is on shoes. It's also the best name ever for a shoe line, right? Like thanks mom and dad.
Right. I've thanked them. Yeah.
Plus with their investment too.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of thanking going around.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I've never thought of it in terms of like, I'm going to start a big shoe company. It's going to be amazing. I think of it in terms of I'm going to design a shoe and then now I'm going to go find someone to make the cat foul. And now they're just a series of like little steps. And honestly, if I think I ever thought of it in those other terms, I would have not pursued it. Yeah. I would have just thought, no, that's just too much.
Too big.
Yeah,
Right.
too big.
So you essentially baby stepped your way into owning a shoe company.
Yes.
Or in this case, perhaps owning an accessories company.
Right.
That started with shoes.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So as you look at moving forward, is the goal to have not just multiple product lines, but sort of what is the I used this word before, the sort of the Claire Flowers empire look like? Because it sounds like it would be a beautiful empire, you know, like very stylish, trendy.
So what I don't do is just sit around thinking like, what can I create? I think about, I was at the grocery store and this about my handbag was a huge pain in the ass. So how could I make that better? And that is what drives me. It's I won't do it unless I see a need.
It's a need.
Yeah.
That's where it always starts. Right?
But what I really love about it is that's what it may come innately to you. But that's also something people can learn. Oh, yeah. Right? It sounds like it's effortless to you, like it's breathing, right? I identify what's not working and then I figure out how to make it work better, right? When I work with entrepreneurs and we think about training on the entrepreneurial mindset, it's like that way of thinking is a way that can be learned. Because by comparison, if you're somebody who doesn't see opportunities, you learned how not to see opportunities, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I wanted to just call out like that effortlessness that seems to be very much part of who you are and how all of this work comes together for you. Is inspiring. And even if you're not feeling it, like if one of our listeners isn't feeling that now, like I don't come home from the food store trying to figure out how to fix what wasn't working, right? But I do come home thinking about how to make X, Y, or Z better. Or I do come home thinking like, I really wish somebody would fix this problem in the world. That you could be that person, right?
Totally. The other day I was getting a hot soup out of the microwave and it occurred to me that that needs to be made better with, anyway. It could be a lot better, but that is of no interest to me. So I guess when I see a need in apparel or fashion, that's what gets me going. But
entrepreneurs, you know, we're always thinking about how to make something, or you're thinking about something, how to improve it. It might not be that. That's the thing you're going to undertake. But I was telling her, I was sitting in an emergency room one day and I'm sitting there thinking about, this is the worst freaking process. How do you improve this? You know, and that's what I was thinking to myself. I'm like, you know what? Shut the brain down.
And just be present.
Let's just be present.
I agree.
But I think if you are of that mindset, you're always looking at something and how can I better improve this?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because I'm easily frustrated or irritable or because I'm like super creative or the combination of the two. But
I think
I feel like I live a lot of my moments like, this could be so much better. What is wrong with this? Why is it working like this? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think there's a book in the future where you reflect on that. You're like my story of seeing the world through problem solving, right? You know,
I think that's cool.
So if folks want to keep track, if they want to order a pair of shoes, if they want to become a regular customer, if they want to find you in a brick and mortar location, where should they look?
So locally, I'm in Mr. Guy, Rachel's Grove, and Ivy Hill.
Okay.
We're online at clareflowers.com. Join the email list, and then they'll get monthly updates of new styles, and every month they'll get a new coupon code.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for making time to be with us and sharing. I feel like we could do a part 2 and a part 3. And when you're ready to write that book, let me know.
Right. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
changing the way you view new ventures, unlocking your creativity and innovation, igniting your thinking about entrepreneurship. It's Entrepreneurially Thinking. Get connected and discover more. Visit entrepreneuriallythinking.com to listen to all your favorite episodes and learn more about our guests, hosts, and sponsors. Feeling inspired? Be sure to share your thoughts, questions, and stories in the comments section. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. The best way to show love is to share and subscribe. Let everybody know that you're entrepreneurially thinking.